Hi, my name is Bojana, or as some people know me as Dr. Bo, and
Welcome to the Bad Bitch Academy. Welcome to the Bad Bitch Academy. Big fans of me. Grab a seat, grab a seat.
yeah, just joking. This is not a Bad Bitch Academy, but maybe I should start one and then team up with the Paris Hilton. Anyhow, so this is actually one of the videos for my PolyMath Grit platform, since I have several platforms, but this one is for English-speaking people. Another one is for Serbian people, and that one is called Exit Balkan Matrix. But if you have not been born in Balkans, then it makes no sense for you to listen to those stories. In any way, they're told in Serbian. Okay, so I decided to glam up for future videos and move from that I don't care how I look like video appearances. Okay, so the topic for today is actually the values of our ideas. So it came to me today to share this content. So we live in a society which pretty much glorifies the male principle, or better known as yang energy from Taoistic teachings. And in this world of male principle, only big ideas count, such as ideas being promoted by Elon Musk and all these alpha figures, and let's do something great, but only if it's out of our reach. Yeah, in that sense. And I'm sure that every human being has an idea, because the very essence of a human being is to create, to do something out of joy, out of play. I mean, we start our life like that, and then education happens, where we are conditioned to only have one right answer, unless you're lucky enough to have teachers and professors which are creative in their essence, and then they encourage different ways of thinking, different ways of resolving stuff, but mostly, in most of the cases, that doesn't happen. So we move, as you know, as it's shown in the Pink Floyd video. We start as these, wonderful creative children, and then we end up usually as a brick in some corporate wall. This is not meant to criticize and bitch about system. It is as it is. It is what it is. But it's meant just to give a different perspective of your ideas, especially in a way that you do not undermine them and reject them just because they appear to be small. Meaning, like, if you look at your idea and then you look at some CEO like Elon Musk or whatever, some famous artist, and you're like, I want to do this, but when I look at them, it's like, this is just insignificant. But is it?
Welcome to the Bad Bitch Academy.
In my experience, your ideas are super, super significant and important. And especially from the perspective of setting yourself free to express as you wish, as long as it doesn't jeopardize another human being. Like, for example, me, I have discovered I love shiny stuff, and like these glasses, which of course I don't wear in public, but I like those things, and it's part of feminine nature to love shiny things. And I didn't actually wear stuff like that. And it's like, why not? Why not add this? Because it's part of who I am. And going back to your ideas. So I can share this reflection of why your ideas are important through my own, reflecting through my own journey. Reflection through reflecting. Yeah. Anyhow, so let's go back to before getting trapped into school. So as kids, we grew up in different places with different parents, and those who were lucky enough to be encouraged to explore their ideas, get deeper into their creativity and develop ability to actually make something happen, they have created a huge credit of this good chemistry in their body. Because every time you reach some kind of goal of significance, especially as a child, you want to make something, you want to do something, when you overcome the obstacles, you get a rush of dopamine. And by doing so, you receive more and develop more and more receptors for dopamine in your body, especially after overcoming that initial feeling of frustration when you were not able to do something. So your chemistry evolves into this good soup, as Sadhguru calls it, of chemicals where you have dopamine, and you have an inherent motivation to make things happen because you get addicted to this good feeling of doing something and make it happening on your own and whatever. But if you grew up in an environment where your ideas have been addressed as silly fantasies, where your imagination and your attempt to communicate that and do something about it were overlooked, made fun of, criticized all the time, where people were telling you, get real, and you're like, child, get real about what? So if you are one of those people who unfortunately had this experience of your wings being kind of chopped off every day, little by little, as you were like trying to express and, I don't know, indulge into singing or whatever, eventually through this negative emotional conditioning, you would start to develop this internal dialogue in yourself, which would, before even you would share your idea, dismiss whatever you were thinking about as something not important, something not of value, and that it's more valuable to listen to some external authority, which at the beginning are your parents, and then later on are your teachers and professors and your bosses and managers. So your very essence, your inner child, or as I call it also your soul, got entrapped into this negative self-narrative, which was a projection of the narrative from your environment. Okay. So as we say, tomorrow or in the future, when you physically become an adult, you get a job or whatever, you finish that misfortunate educational system. And yeah, I'm laughing because I suffered a lot during my PhD. Now it's funny, but it was not funny. So, and then you're expected to be proactive, assertive, to share your ideas, to be free in how you take actions forward, to resolve issues and problems. But inside, you still have that like trapped inner child, your soul, which was not allowed to freely express and explore whatever you wished. So at some point, these impulses of your soul, which were neglected during school, because what happens in after you enter the school, all the time you're fed with some external information from these books. You get a whatever, some book, and then you are forced to like put everything in your head. I was memorizing everything by heart until the age of, I think, it's fourth grade of primary school. So it's like age of 10 or 9 or whatever. And you know what happens? Your focus, it's always in your head. You're like cramming all of this knowledge, or whatever. And I was watching recently also a reels by some Afro lady. She moved to Serbia, and she was showing a number of books her child, who is just starting first grade, sorry, will have to go through, and it's like a lot. So what happens is, first you are left out in your household. Your parents tell you, what are you fantasizing about? That's not for you. You want to maybe be an actor, a music star, or whatever. And everybody like blah 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 blah, and you're just like, it's like hammering you all the time. And then you come to school. I was lucky to have a first teacher, Sanya. Her name was Sanya. She was very graceful lady, and I loved her very much. So I was lucky to have quite a few good teachers and professors who made my journey easier. But regardless of that, nobody asks you when you come to school, what do you like? What do you want to do? What your heart would love to do? And so what happens, your attention, it's always brain, cram your knowledge, put these books, da 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 da, and you get disconnected from your heart. And when we are disconnected from our heart, we become aliens to our own true nature, our own true self. And then you're like more and more separating from yourself, and you're becoming this psychological structure of what your family would like to see and what the school and the system would like to see, so you can fit into some corporate wall eventually. mañana, tomorrow. And so that's why I say for myself that I'm survivor of this whole system, because luckily I have recovered a connection with my inner child, and I have healed, because I mentioned those children which were encouraged to explore their creativity. They develop this credit of feeling good. A lot of receptors for dopamine, oxytocin, and so they naturally navigate towards doing things they love. But the rest of us who were kind of left out, criticized, we develop a lot of receptors for cortisol, for stress, and I don't know what other negative hormones are there. So you have this like negative chemical soup, and you develop a lot of credit of pain in your body, suppressed pain. And the deal is, when you're adult, if you want to reconnect with yourself, with that inner joy and this creative portion of yourself, you have to move through all of that pain. I just remember that song from Justin Timberlake, "Cry Me a River." Cry me. So exactly, cry me. Cry you. You have to cry and swim through this river of pain. And before you manage to reach and save that inner child, your soul, it's a source of joy, source of meaningful living, source of your life energy. That's why so many people have no energy And the substitute for that, it's a lot of food, drinking, coffee, alcohol. Again, from the book based stimulation, you move to other types of entertainment stimulation, from TV shows, Netflix marathons. And all the time you're just like avoiding to go back to that part of yourself which were buried, and to reconnect, like plug in again. So, unplug from everything around you and plug in.
Welcome to the Bad Bitch Academy.
If you are one of those people who can still hear the tiny voice of your inner child, of your soul, which is telling you to go do some drawings, to, I don't know, just go and be silly in nature and dance, to, I don't know, take crayons and you just paint on your wall. As a child, you're usually forbidden to do these things. So yeah, you should, because by doing so, that will be your first step toward recovery of who you really are. And first tiny step from this corporate wall, this system. So it's like taking a step a little bit from there, because a lot of people believe, I'm just a part of the mechanism in this system. I'm just like spinning something there. And a lot of people are not aware of their self-value, their self-worth. I have went through all of this journey of my own recovery, so I as an ex-addict on negative thoughts and beliefs, I can share a thing or two of this 22 years long journey to come back to who I am, to be able to stand for myself, to speak for myself, to stand alone, which doesn't mean I detest people, no. But as you see, I heard this in some of the videos several years ago, society and your family always offer you some crutches, that you always have to depend on somebody, that you cannot go alone somewhere, that you cannot do something on your own. And by doing so, this system keeps on thriving because of these numerous insecure individuals who have never had a chance to explore their own ideas, their own identity, the true identity, not the one fabricated through schooling and through companies and whatever, and by your friends and stuff. I mean, so the main value of every idea, it's not about, is it huge? Is it going to take me to the moon? Am I going to clean all the oceans in this planet? No. Whatever your idea is, the value of that idea, as I mentioned, is first you make a step back. You start moving toward yourself, who you are. And from my own experience in the last 4 or 5 years, because I explored a lot of things. I took guitar playing lessons. Doesn't matter why I left that school. Clashes with authority. I didn't like some stuff. Learning how to make clothes. Starting to learn DJing last year. People looking on the side, they would be like, oh, why is she so putting so much effort? I'm just like assuming what people could say. Oh, she is not stable. She jumps from one thing to another. Blah, blah, blah. I say blah, 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 because all of those people, you will meet them. They are totally disconnected from their true self, from their true identity. They are like stuck in the wall, probably forever. And if there is a reincarnation, maybe in the next 10,000 lives, they might realize what's going on. But if you're not one of those people, and I'm happy with whatever type of personality you are, do you like wall or you prefer to find your freedom? If you're not one of those people, I deeply encourage you, because I didn't have that encouragement to pursue your ideas. Even if you have 50 different interests, it doesn't matter. Those are your interests. Doesn't matter what your partner will say. Be serious. You're too old for that. Nobody does that in your age. Why would you waste your time on that? You cannot make any money. Blah blah blah. Why are you wasting your money on that? And like, rarely you will like meet people who will tell you, does it make you happy? You enjoy that? Great. Do it. Does it uplift you? Does it bring you this positive rush of energy? Great. That's important. You go and you do that. Even if it means to go to Antarctica. So that's the point, because there is a great quote. I forgot the name of that person. I think it was a lady. And she said, like, only those who do not move cannot feel the chains. And that's the point. If you do not start exploring your ideas, and if you do not try to do them, realize them, you will never understand the chains entrapping you in this wall, the wall of the system. And as Osho, one of my favorite thinkers, for some people he was controversial, for me he was super sane. More controversial is to be the same all the time like everybody else, or is to be normal. Just remember Zlatan Ibrahimovic, he said, why be normal when you can be exceptional? And that is, if you start with only one tiny idea, you are already exceptional, because you are doing something that most of people will not even try. There is this guy who was mentioning, like, when you finish your work, you do have a surplus of energy. But a lot of people, I have all of these phases. Like, I did everything. I wasted my time. It's like, yeah, because I was refusing to move through this Crimea river, a river of pain, to come back to myself. So I understand procrastination, everything. I like all these human pitfalls, or what's the word? I don't know. Negative patterns of behavior, self-sabotages. I know everything. I didn't take drugs. I was not alcoholic and other stuff. So I don't. But I know it's a substitute for not feeling good, trying to feel good. Anyway. So, going back to you. If you want to break free, I want to break free. If you want to break free, you don't have to leave everybody, tell them to go to hell. No. You can simply put on the paper your ideas. And I know this is so difficult, not because you're incapable, but because we have abandoned ourselves for such a long time, that you have all of these insecurities, lack of faith in yourself. I understand all of that. I appear super self-confident to many people, but only because I don't make videos when I cry, when I feel emotional pain. I process that on my own. Of course, I'm not going to make those videos because my haters are going to enjoy them. But stuff that are not seen in public do build the confidence that I exhibit later. Preparing me to fight all of these demons of society, the chains. Anyway, so take your ideas, no matter what anybody else says. Your ideas, if you are a believer, they come from the very source of life. God, universe, Jesus Christ, Krishna, Vishnu, Govinda, the field of Tao, your consciousness, whatever part of the world you're coming from, because I am very connected with all religions, not because I'm fanatic, but as somebody said, my religion is love. So whatever their messages of love, I connect to them and learn from them, trying to make myself more self-aware of my thoughts, my emotions, my self-sabotaging patterns, just to set myself free as a human being, which doesn't mean you will not have responsibilities, but your responsibilities and everything you decide to dedicate later on, once you set free yourself, will have a meaning. Because most of stuff we get stuck in have no meanings. Marriages which have no meaning, partnerships in business which have no meaning. People are all the time pushing against themselves and suffering and then just breaking because there is no creative energy. Everything is coming from here, because I mentioned in school, you are all the time here. I say the luckiest people are the dyslexic one because they didn't have to suffer this book torture. So take your idea and you will feel insecure, and it's normal, it's okay, because how else would you feel? You are starting from that emotional level of your inner child, which has to grow into rebellious teenager and then a wise adult. Just because our bodies are 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years, calendar years, I don't like word old, just like they're around for this time, doesn't mean that people are mature. No, most of them are not. So you take your ideas. If you have no ideas, okay, and if you feel this emptiness and you know something is not okay, and there is a depression, anxiety and stuff, instead of taking pills, as everybody are just like, offering you, those are authorized pill distributors, not to use another name, you try to reflect and spend time thinking about your childhood. Because back in 2019, when I took a sabbatical leave and came back from Switzerland to Serbia, I had time to do nothing. I was going to a fitness gym, which I left, but that's another story. Not because I'm lazy, but because I have decided I don't want to train like a man. I'm a woman. Anyhow, not to diverge. Once you pull your head from these daily obligations and from realizing somebody else's dream and profits, once you unload stuff from your raw memory, new ideas can come into your head. And for me, the first step toward return to innocence, as Enigma band would say, is remembering my favorite comic, which was and still is Modesty Blaze. And it's funny because at that time, the first translated compilation of first 12 comics was published in Serbia, and I remember purchasing that and crying when I started reading, because the intro of the comic was the story about Peter O'Donnell and how he made Modesty Blaze. I will not talk more about that. Probably it will be a topic for some other video. But I recognized myself in this story of this orphan he saw in the Middle East during the Second World War. And then it hit me, Jesus, my main role model is Modesty Blaze. Like all this story, and no matter how much clumsy and disgracefully I handled many situations in my life, I wanted to grow and I wanted to move from ignorance to wisdom, from numbness to self-awareness, from people pleaser to being somebody with attitude and being able to correct myself and guide myself. And that was the first spark which took me later back to music. I was getting these impulses all the time, what to do. Maybe you are also getting these impulses, but we have been trained to neglect them because, as I mentioned, in school, nobody comes and say, what do you love? Which book would you like to read? What subject are you interested in? Maybe you hate biology. Maybe your thing is Shakespeare or whatever. Or maybe your thing is just to paint on the wall, like Bugsy. Is it Banksy, not Bugsy, Banksy. And it took me like this 4 or 5 years to mature into a human being, which is finally aware that you should have this performance gap between your idea and making it happen, regardless of what idea is, as long as it doesn't jeopardize somebody else. This performance gap is closed in a much shorter time. I have been because I have learned to dismiss the value of my thinking before and my ideas and stuff, especially about these creative things. And this journey of the last 4 and 5 years pulled me through all sorts of situations with people where I have experienced envy, the energy of envy, when I would start to say, oh, I make this piece of clothes and I like to wear that. Or I experienced being criticized from educated musicians that I should not be adding my sound to what we were like playing. You know, it's all the time you hit on this, you shouldn't do this. This is done only in this way. I remember not fighting, but almost getting into a fight in one of my classes where I was learning to make clothing, because I hate this stuff you put in your shoulders. Like that was popular during 80s. And she was, no, it has to be put there. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. And this really made me appreciate my mind by being open to doing things differently. And that's also what engineering mind should be about. And, doing things on your own, making mistakes. Because the fear for mistake, it's another crippling thing that follows you from school or your life. Don't make a mistake. How you dare you make a mistake? And then you ran into podcasts like with Naval from United States. And this is a podcast, something like how to get rich or whatever. But it's not there like giving you 5 steps how to get rich. They talk about meaningful things. And one of the stuff they were really discussing, and which hit me pretty hard, is like society doesn't reward you how many times you tried something. They only reward you for a correct answer. And as they said in the podcast, if you are stuck in this system, you don't even get an opportunity to make a mistake, because everybody gives you a set of instructions how to do something. You just have to memorize and do it. But you know why? Because if you have a weak will and you do all the time like that, you're easily to control and manipulate. So, if you are one of those who have this a bit of a rebellious spirit, as I mentioned, you do not have to go and, make a revolution. The first revolution happens in you. And in you taking your idea, there is no big or small idea, it's your idea. And doing that, whether that's to go alone to a concert, to travel. There was a huge insight for me. There is this guy from London, Simon Scribble, whatever, and he goes around and asks everybody, what's your dream? What's your dream? It's like if I would go around like, what's your idea? What's your idea? And there was a lady, and she said, I would like to travel the world. And he was like, what's stopping you? And she's like, money. And then he said a profound thing. He said, no, it's money. It's not the issue. The lack of confidence, it's the issue. So if you think you have no money to do, no, it's always confidence. translating back, not trusting yourself. I know how this feels. I was there. I suffered. I know all of that. So the only way to break out from suffering is to say, fuck it. I'm gonna move through this unpleasant sensation, because suffering, it's unpleasant sensation in your body rooted in this negative chemistry developed in childhood when you were dismissed for your ideas, and then developed through schooling when you were only asked to give one correct answer, which is written in somebody's book. So if you want to get into a Bad Bitch Academy, it's a new song by Paris Hilton, actually, I like it. Bad Bitch Academy. She's also giving instructions there. Just joking. If you really want to explore more this life, go and do whatever you want. It's not going to be easy. I mean, you always hear this same thing, and it's not a cliche, it's true. I was also going out on my own to concerts and whatever, and it's, you want to go and listen to this, but it's like there is a strand of some negative energy, like some sadness or whatever, trying to pull you back into the old self. But if you are mentally strong and if you survive the school, probably you are, then you say, fuck it, fuck the sensation, fuck it all, I'm gonna go and do this. Because sometimes, I was posting stuff on LinkedIn and I didn't glam up for those videos. I mean, I didn't glam up a lot, it's just some small changes I did now. And the stuff I wanted to say and how I looked, and there was a part of me which was resisting, and I felt this resistance here, and I'm like, fuck the sensation, I'm gonna do this even if I drop dead right now. Who cares what people will say? Because only people who always like blah 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 blah, criticize blah 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 blah, dismiss you blah 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 blah, are those like from the Muppet Show. Just like somebody's moving their mouth, and that somebody is not them, because that somebody is society. People who went through this initiation process of coming back to their inner child, reconnecting with their soul, moving through that whole, it's a painful experience. If you were criticized and dismissed for who you were in your childhood, they will never make fun of you. I understand fully how difficult that is. You don't get anybody's support. People are actually looking forward you will give up and stay at the same zone and level they are. And sometimes like, no, I'm gonna die by doing that. Whatever I need to do, just not to get stuck in the same ball. Okay, I don't know if anybody gonna listen this long video. Now I went into this flow of talking. It didn't start like that. I now have a little bit of accent. Usually when I speak English after I come back from my long walks, it's much more clean with American accent I got from Alaska. Either way, every idea matters, and that happens when you move from glorifying the male principle toward creation principle, which is the yin energy. It's a female principle. And once this society starts appreciating and valuing compassion, empathy, vulnerability, it's the most difficult English word. Once they start glorifying kindness, process, being slow at something, as Alex Hormoza, what's his name, said, it's much better to suck at something, that means you started doing something, than to not doing anything. Because that's the female principle. Small, tiny steps. Even for this video I am making, I started breaking my anxiety from being seen in 2018 because I paid some huge amount of money to take a 8-week long London Real boot camp for digital marketing course. and it helped me a lot. I didn't make any business then. I know now why. I was not emotionally mature, which is okay, but my value from giving 3,000 Swiss francs for that course was that I started breaking free from, being afraid what people will think of me, say about me if they see videos, because these people don't even show their opinion anywhere. And then they are saying, how there is nobody nice and wise at the television, all these like people, and then you get some people who are sharing their real life experience, their suffering, what they overcame, and their ideas, and they also make fun of these people. So I'm like, everybody has some rubbish to share because it's their rubbish, it's their dissatisfaction with life, and then they have no where to put it, and they just spit it out. So your idea, it's important to summarize. It's a step first to reconnect with yourself. If you do not know what's your idea, then your step is to think about your childhood and try to find what made you feel good. Even if it's watching cartoons, go and watch those cartoons. I bought a comic book about Modesty Blaze. Then I got a vision of what clothes I should be making 5 years ago, but it took me 2 years before I went to learn making clothes because I didn't took seriously my creative part. I dismissed it like most of people do, and then the substitute for that, as I mentioned, is overstimulation with substances, alcohol, television, Netflix, internet, that's like consumeristic lifestyle, and it's killing us. But of course, I have no intention to cure all consumerists in this world. I'm only responsible for myself, but I feel need to share these things, to plant maybe a seed for somebody, and to be a way shower. Because otherwise, if we are really meant just to work from 9 to 5 until the retirement, this is nothing better than a central prison. Only your free range, it's bigger. You can go to Ibiza or other beach, but then you always have to return to the same place and do the same stuff. Not funny. But hey, everybody have a freedom to choose, and it's okay. I respect everybody's choice, but I'm just sharing messages that could be relevant for you who are never encouraged, who are always dismissed, who, if you are like me, naturally having a lot of joy and good energy, you will again be dismissed because people are living more from their egos. And when you come with this joy, their ego, it's like, I don't have this, I need to destroy this somehow. So they will say something, they will try to find some of your insecurity and stab you there. But then you say, thank you, now I know what's my insecurity, I can process now this, thank you so much. I mean, of course, sometimes you want to tell them go to hell and become John Wick, who's going to just clean the space from them. But then you would really end up in a prison, and that's not good for you. But who knows? Sometimes I know people who were in a prison and that was the best thing for them because they did meditation in prison and changed their life. Either how, going back to step 1, find your idea. If you have it, great. If you don't, think about your childhood. Step 2, immediately do something. Don't even say to anyone what you're doing, so you don't get discouraged before you even moved. People would be telling you, if you have children, maybe your children are not doing that, you want to do that. Of course I want to do that. It's my inner child. I have my own inner child. Of course I want to do that. Just because most people die before the official date to be buried, you don't have to be one of those people. And that's actually a solution, having one person by one person, one human by one human, being reconnected with the source of life, with your heart, with your soul, with your inner child. that you heal your inner child from all these wounds, childhood wounds. And it's possible. Not easy, but it's possible. I feel like I just came out from a 22-year-long war. But okay, but it's alright. Yeah, it's alright. Foo Fighters. Easy for you to say your heart has never been broken, your pride has never been stolen. Not yet, not yet. One of these days. One of these days. Okay, 45 minutes, great. A whole school class, but much more interesting than a regular school class when you have to I was great in pretending that I listened to professors. Anyway, God bless you. Force bless you, whatever. Maybe you're a Jedi. Maybe you are agnostic. It's maybe the best thing to be agnostic. You don't know nothing, and then you are free to explore everything. So go and have fun with your idea, because I this is the last thing, and I'm wrapping up. In November, after rebelling against some authority and the work, I had these ideas. They were just like bombing me, and I'm like, am I gonna go crazy? It's a process. But then sometimes you're like, if I take this idea, what happens with my other ideas? And it's now I understand it's part of growing, because you have neglected your own inner voice for such a long time, and then all of a sudden it's like opera, screaming everything inside for your attention. So just go and do it. And yeah, if anybody has been watching this, you can comment, how did it go? Because the most valuable thing, it's a reconnection, and the second most valuable thing equally, it's the feeling of joy and energy that comes after you did something for yourself. That you maybe took a cooking class, that you maybe made clothes, you learned to play a guitar, no matter how much you suck, you like to sing, you started doing gardening, you decided to take a chemistry class, maybe like Breaking Bad. Maybe you want to make a book for children. I also have a very interesting story I started writing 2 years ago. I'm going to continue. It's going to be great. It will take time, but it's okay. There is a guy, I forgot his name. He was sweeping floors when he was 31 and trying to, I think, become an actor or a TV person in the United States, an Afro guy. And his wife asked him, so what are we doing, And then he said, even if this happens when we are 99 years of age, it's going to be worthwhile, because this process of you trying to do something for you is making you grow. So if your value it's growth, if your value it's increasing self-awareness, if your value it's breaking free, then this practical process of going through realization of your ideas is the most awesome thing, as Kung Fu Panda would say, full of awesomeness that you can do for your being. And one by one, human can finally break free. I mentioned that word a lot, but it's true. Break free from this very bad conditioning, very unsatisfied programming. Of course, it's not my job to pull anybody through this process, but I feel the need to talk, to share this. I like communication. I like meaningful communication, and like funny communication. Humor, it's super important part of who we are as humans, and it's also a part of our creative nature, because when you laugh at something, it's something that you heard for the first time, that nobody else told you in that way. And it also builds up the number of dopamine receptors in your body, moving you away from this negative chemical soup so much deeply embedded in your tissues from the first day you were born. Okay, love and peace. Live long, prosper, and do you for you because of you. It's not selfish. Because once you start doing that, your energy changes, and then everything around you changes. And then more of people like you come into your life, and then you also inspire other people, and that's how we heal. Moving away from the wall and toward something fluid, something alive, something joyful, something free of envy, free of jealousy, free of greed. That's why we have so much greed, because people have nothing inside of themselves, so they try to stuff it, this black hole, with materialistic possessions and with this sense of power over others. It's a very childish stance in life. But unfortunately, a lot of children are running this 3D world. Ciao.
One of these days, the ground will drop out from beneath your feet. One of these days, your heart will stop and play its final